Hello, everyone. This is Charles with the Exodus Logistics Learning Center, Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners online course. We are in Module 3, which is booking the load with the brokers and the carrier dialogue, or the broker and the dispatcher dialogue, depending on if you are managing the loads for your carrier as a dispatcher. This is lesson 2 under module 3, which is dealing with the carrier packets and the other documents. So remember I said carrier packet, broker agreement, broker carrier agreement, setup packet. They're all one and the same. Here is an example of what a carrier packet looks like. So when you get it, either you're going to fill one out online through the RMIS system, the Registry Monitoring Insurance Service, or you're going to get one in a PDF format like this sent to you via email. So then you will go through and fill out, the agreement between, on this day, whatever day you're booking the load, this day of month and whatever year. Of course, this is 2020, so this is going to change. This is an old one. Between the broker, they put their information on this line, and the carrier. So if you're filling this out for your carrier, you are the dispatcher for your carrier. You do not put your dispatching company or your name on there. You put your carrier's company or the carrier's name where it says carrier. Okay, just a side note. Just trust me on that one. I had people who've actually done that. And then you just peruse and read through carrier responsibility. So it defines who the broker is and it defines who the carrier is. So whereas the broker is the person who is arranging for the freight to be transported, the carrier is the person who is going to be transporting the freight in accordance to the FMCSA and DOT regulations. And it also even gives a name, shipper is the customer of the broker, which is true. So, and then it goes into, the carrier represents, they have everything in order. They are legally authorized to operate their vehicle, all the responsibilities of a carrier, and then the broker responsibilities. So what they are supposed to do and what they are doing. And now sometimes too, you want to read in the carrier broker agreement or the setup packet or the carrier packet, like the things to look for are the payment options that the brokers offer. And this one of 3 payment options is either the quick pay, which is 1 to 2 days. They'll charge an extra percent up to 5%. The second payment option that a broker will offer under their brokerage would be the 5 to 7 day ACH transfer. ACH stands for Automated Clearinghouse. They'll get either a voided check from the carrier, or they'll have them give them a routing number and an account number to an account that they want that money transferred to, and that's 5 to 7 days. They'll charge about 3% for that. And then the last option, the third option, will be a paper check, which is mailed to the carrier's place of residence. And that's usually 15 to 30, maybe even 45 days out. So if your carrier has a factoring company, then those payment options, they wouldn't have to worry about if they are choosing to use the factoring companies that they have. Okay. Carrier responsibilities, they make sure the freight gets there on time, nothing's damaged, transport the freight, make sure the bill of lading, all the paperwork is filled out correctly, everything is signed for. It has things about loss, damage. So this is a lot of the verbiage here. Insurance for the carrier, the requirements, typically liability is $1 million and cargo is usually 100,000. So in this case, cargo damage loss on this form is 150. So the baseline starting for liability for the carriers is about 1 million, and the baseline starting for cargo insurance is 100,000. And this is standard. This is typical between across carriers and across companies and brokerages. So Also look for miscellaneous things in the broker carrier agreement, the setup packet, the carrier packet. So look for things like detention, look for things like TONU. So detention means that if your carrier is at a loading dock, either a shipper or a receiver, and they are being loaded or unloaded, if they are there beyond X amount of time that is allotted according to the agreement, the carrier agreement, the broker carrier agreement, like let's say between 2 to 3 hours, anything after that, it falls into detention time. Every hour after that time that was given free, either that 2 hours or 3 hours, according to the agreement, is detention time. So they can be, let's say you're there for 8 hours trying to get loaded or 8 hours trying to get unloaded. Well, you gave them 3, so you got 5 for free. And they pay between a range of, I would say, about $50 to $75 up to about $100 to $125. So that's on top of the rate that your carrier was already going to get. Now, me, when I was dispatching heavily, all the detention money, I gave that to the carrier. That's their money because they were the ones sitting at the loading docks. I had nothing to do with that. I booked the load, but I don't put my percentage on top of the rate for the detention. That's just not fair to the carrier. I had nothing to do. I wasn't sitting there, so it's just the right thing for me. So, and then the next thing was the truck order not used, TONU. What that is if you book a load, let's say you go through the whole process all the way up to the rate confirmation point where you sign the rate confirmation from a load that you guys agreed upon, and you book it, and your carrier is driving on their way to the shipper to pick that load up. And you, as the dispatcher, you receive a call from the broker saying, hey, the shipper canceled that load. So that load is canceled. So now you can get a TONU. You'll ask them, well, can we get a TONU, please? And if it's in the carrier agreement, then you may even ask that when you call the broker on the load, or before you sign the rate confirmation. That may be something that you ask. And for more reassurance, have them even write that into the rate confirmation. What do you have? Do you offer TONU? If so, what is the rate? And then also, do you offer detention? If so, how many hours after do you charge or do you pay, and what's the amount? So that way you're kind of ahead of the curve. So this is the carrier packet, and then at the end of the carrier packet, there's certain things in here, but those are the important things: the special TONU, detention, the insurance understandings, and the payment options. Those are the main pointers, and then you can read through. It's recommended that you read through the whole carrier packet before you get that signed. So the broker signs their side over here, and then the carrier signs that. Now you are the dispatcher, you're filling this out for your carrier. So again, you're going to sign the carrier's name and information, not yours. You're going to print the carrier's name and not yours. Their title is owner, and then their company address, phone, fax if they have one, and of course email. And you're getting this data from your profile of the carrier when you received your dispatcher agreement and profile when you initially got the carrier under a dispatcher agreement. So just remember, do not, as a dispatcher, do not sign your name and do not print your name and address, company address. That is the carrier's information. And on the dispatcher agreement, remember the clause, a little checkbox in the initial where the carrier authorizes you, the dispatcher, to fill out all carrier packets on their behalf, all rate confirmations on their behalf. Where here's an example of where you will be doing that as a dispatcher. Okay. So this is the carrier packet, setup packet, broker carrier agreement. This is it right here. Now the carrier packet encompasses the agreement and the other document. That's what the whole packet encompasses. The W-9, the certificate insurance, COI, the broker carrier agreement. So that's the setup packet. So, okay, so that's the first document. So now with the other documents, the next one is, of course, the MC authority letter. This is one of the ones that you received back from your carrier when they initially sent you back the dispatcher agreement and profile. Remember, I was saying these are the important documents that you need up front. So when you're booking loads with various brokers over time with your one carrier or many carriers, you want to always send them these documents. So you want to always have these documents at your disposal as a dispatcher. So the first one is obviously is the MC authority letter. Brokers ask for this because they want to verify that your carrier's authority is active and that they can move the freight. So I went over this before in the dispatcher agreement section and the other documents section in module 1 under lesson 4. So, but here it is again. It shows the date that the authority became active. Their MC number will go here, DOT number goes here, and the type of authority. In this case, common carrier. So that's the MC authority. That's one of the other documents. The next one, like in lesson 4 of module 1, carrier acquisition, is the W-9. This just shows that they have a tax identification number or an employer identification number, EIN, and they are doing business as, let's say, ABC Trucking. So the important thing to note here is make sure that they're in box 3, that they have the correct entity type. Box 1 and 2, their personal name, and then box 2, number 1, and then number 2, their DBA or their doing business as name, like ABC Trucking. And then in the part 1 TIN number, make sure that they put their EIN number as opposed to their social. You want to attach your EIN number, your employer identification number, associate that with your business, whether it's an LLC, corporation, or what have you, as opposed to your social. Just keep that in mind. The next document, certificate of insurance. And we went over this also in lesson 4 under other documents under carrier acquisition in module 1. But again, the certificate of insurance, it lists the producer, which is the insurance company, the insured, which is the carrier, ABC Trucking, for example, the insurance agent on this policy, their name, phone number, fax, email. And in this area here, the type of insurances, the liability, cargo, what have you, the policy information goes here, the start and expiration dates of each policy, and the amounts of those policies, 2 million, 1 million, 100,000, so on and so forth. And also again, in this area here, certificate holder. Remember, I was saying earlier in the previous lesson that a broker may ask to be made a certificate holder on the certificate of insurance for your carrier, you know, to get set up with this brokerage to book loads and move loads going forward. So you would call the agent, the insurance agent on the policy. They will verify that it is that person by asking you for the policy number. You give that to them. They verify that company, ABC Trucking, and then you say, hey, they'll say, well, how may I help you? You verify, how may I help you? Well, I'm a dispatcher for ABC Trucking. We need a certificate of insurance listing this company as a certificate holder. And then they'll say, okay, what's the name of the company, street address, city, state, and zip. And they'll just put that information in here and they'll say, who do I need to email or fax this to? Of course, you email or fax it to yourself as well as the broker that you're dealing with on that load. And it makes the process a little more streamlined and easier. Okay, and then the fourth other document, the optional one, and this is if your carrier has a factoring company, which means that they have a company that will provide them financial resources up front where they don't have to wait long for their monies after they've delivered a load for a broker. So you have factoring companies who buy those invoices, those receivables, those BOLs, and they do that and they charge for that service. So the notice of assignment, it's kind of a you will fill this out or send it to the broker. They'll fill it out, give it back to you, and you'll give it to your carrier to give to their company so they can run a check on the broker to make sure that there are no red flags with that brokerage. And if there are, they will, let the carrier know and they can decide whether to move forward. So you have the broker carrier agreement, the W-9, the MC authority letter, the certificate of insurance, and the notice of assignment, NOA. All of those forms together encompasses a carrier packet. Then you have what's called the broker carrier agreement. Is the one contract that's the agreement between the broker and the carrier to get set up with that brokerage. But the packet itself includes everything else. those other documents because they are needed also in order to effectively get that carrier set up or registered with that brokerage to run loads and other loads. So in the next lesson, we will go over the rate confirmation. This is the document that's needed to officially book the load after your carrier has been set up and approved as an approved carrier for a brokerage. This is the document that's needed to verify that the numbers are right from the load that was posted on the load board with the information on the rate confirmation before it is signed and then sent back to the broker to officially book that load. So I will see you in the next lesson.